Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, I guess, this afternoon, your time. I'm Katherine Brown. I'm the publishing director at the Company of Biologists. And together with Craig Franklin, the editor-in-chief of the journal Experimental Biology, we're just going to take this opportunity to give you some information about the Company of Biologists and its journals, our sort of approach to publishing, and also some of our support for the community and how we use our publishing activities to really give back to the community as well. So sorry, Craig, I'm going to need to ask you to switch the slides forward. So just as a very brief introduction to the Company of Biologists, we were actually founded just over 100 years ago. We celebrated our 100th anniversary last year to take on a journal which is now JB. And since then, we were gifted what the journal is now Journal of Cell Science in 1946. Its content actually dates back to the 1850s. We launched the journal that's now Development in 1953. And more recently, over the past 20 years or so, we've launched our own two new journals of our own, Disease Models of Mechanisms and Biology Open. We're a not-for-profit publisher and a registered UK charity. And if you want to find out more about our history, all of our journals published editorials last year talking more about the history. So what do we do today? Really, the sort of main thing that we do as an organisation is we publish journals. But in addition to that, we provide an awful lot of charitable support for the scientific community. I'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the presentation. We also run three community sites aimed at the biological community. Again, I'll come back to that. And we really believe in ethical approaches towards publishing and in trying to begin to think really seriously about sustainability and all of the things we do. And again, I'll touch on more of these things in a minute. So, as I said, we publish five journals. These can be seen on the next slide. I hope that many of you will be familiar with one or more of them. As the name suggests, development is really focused on understanding developmental and stem cell biology, regenerative biology, both in plants, animals, and algae. Journal of Cell Science covers anything essentially to do with cell biology, all aspects at the cellular level. Journal of Experimental Biology is our comparative animal physiology and biomechanics journal, and Craig will speak more about that in a minute. Disease Models and Mechanisms is really about understanding human health, preclinical models of human health, both in vivo and in vitro models. And Biology Open is our rigorous high quality research, is about rigorous high quality research without necessarily worrying about the kind of level of impact. And so it's broad scope and it's really focused on providing a rapid route to publication. And again, I'll come back to that shortly. All of our journals operate from a similar model, and again, Craig will talk about this in more detail. We have expert academic editors. You can see the picture on the right shows you our current group of editors-in-chief of the five journals. We really believe in supporting authors through the journey, so we have competitive decision speeds. We offer a fast track option for papers that have been received with reports from other journals. So if your paper has been through peer review, at another journal, but that journal has decided they don't want to publish it, then you're more than welcome to get in touch with us, submit your paper through our submission system with the referee's reports, and we will try and use those reports as far as possible to be able to make a decision on your paper without starting the peer review process from scratch. We try to make it easy for authors, so we offer format-free submission. We're very preprint friendly, and we've got a number of initiatives around preprints to really support that rapid acceleration of getting your work out to publication. We have publishing update options to fit all funder mandates, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. And as I said, we're also really beginning to think about sustainability in our practices. Some of the key things that I think is really important for people to know, across all of our journals, you'll get an initial decision back from us in less than a week. The majority of papers on most of our journals are sent out for peer review, and typically we really try to limit the rounds of revision to only one round of major revision. If we invite a revision on your paper, we really want to publish it, and we're really trying to make a commitment at that stage. In general, we go from submission to formal publication in under 6 months. And as I said, we're also trying to make it easier for you to transfer your paper to us if you're not successful elsewhere. And in addition to that, We have also got formal networks for Journal of Cell Science. There's a formal network transfer network in place with the Journal of Cell Biology and Molecular Biology of the Cell. And we're also affiliate journals for Review Commons, which is the EMBO-run journal independent peer review platform that some of you may be familiar with. And the idea there is that you submit your paper to Review Commons, you receive a set of peer reviews for that paper without it being targeted to a specific journal, and then with those reports in hand, you can then choose from a group of over 20 affiliate journals which one you think would best suit your paper, and that journal will then use the referee report generated through Review Commons in order to make a decision on your paper. And they've found that this rapidly accelerates the time taken from formal submission to a journal through to publication because the referee reports are already there. And if you're not successful at your first choice journal, you can always go elsewhere with the same set of reviews. As I said, we're one of our real focuses on it is on ensuring that every author can publish with us, no matter their funder mandate. We've been on quite a journey towards open access over the last 10 years or so. We've been offering open access options since 2004. And as I said, two of our journals are fully open access. But in moving towards full open access, we're really trying to balance two priorities. We're trying to help, wherever possible, make the research accessible to everyone as quickly as possible. But we're also really conscious that not everybody has the funds to pay APCs to be able to publish in a journal. And also that different funder mandates and different financial statuses can limit the options. And so we have three routes to publishing with us, depending on the journal. Across our long-standing journals, Development, JCS, and JEB, the first option is that you can publish with us completely for free, no page charges, no cost at all. But that content is behind a subscription paywall for the first 12 months and then becomes free to read. The second option is that you can pay an APC for immediate gold open access, where your article is published under a CC BY license and becomes free to read from the point of publication. And the third option, which will apply to many of you, is that you can publish completely for free with us because your institution has a read and publish deal with us. So what that means is that your institution has converted from a traditional subscription agreement to a read and publish, meaning that that covers the costs of immediate gold open access. We also have waivers available on DMM and Bio for lower income countries where funds are unavailable. And in some cases, and I believe this is the case with the Australian Research Council now, is that we do also provide us an option for compliance by making the author accepted version of the manuscript, so not the final version of record, but the accepted version of the manuscript available on a preprint on an institutional repository at the point of publication, if that's what your funder requires. And so we hope that this provides everybody with options to publish with us, no matter where they're funded, where they're based across the world. And authors really appreciate this. And on the next slide, oh, sorry. And so this is just showing that, yeah, as I said, most of you, I hope, will benefit from our read and publish deals. It also gives you full access to all of our content and all of our historic content. And as I said, authors really appreciate what we offer them. So if you switch to the next slide, Craig, it gives you increased usage. We know that articles that are made open access, unsurprisingly, are accessed more. More people read them. They also tend to be cited more, and they also receive an altmetrics boost, meaning that they're often more seen on social media, more seen by news and blog posts, and so on. And as I said, our authors do really appreciate this, and this is just a few quotes that we've received over the last few years, saying that essentially the fact that this is offered, you don't have to know that you have a read and publish deal. We will know that you have a read and publish deal and that you can be offered it, and we will organise that all for all of our authors. And this has really been a successful way of making more of our research accessible to more people more quickly. Um, as I said earlier, we're really trying to think about sustainability, and you may have seen on one of the quotes on the previous slide that one author commented on getting a tree, and this is an initiative that we launched a few years back called the Forest of Biologists. For every article and for every research article and review that we publish across our journal, we are planting a tree in a real forest in the UK that's being looked after and maintained. It's called the Young People's Forest in Mead. You'll see a picture of it in a second. And so for every paper published, we plant a tree. And for every review article, for every peer review that's done, we're actually contributing funds to the Woodland Trust in the UK to protect ancient woodland, which is from a sustainability and from a biodiversity perspective even more important than planting new forest. This is the Young People's Forest at Mead, where we're planting trees, and this is Great Knot Wood in the Lake District, where we're protecting ancient forest. And as an author or reviewer, you can go online and into the virtual forest of biologists, and you can find your tree in the forest, which is growing all the time. And as time goes on, we're planting more and more trees and protecting more and more woodland. And this is something we're really proud of. In terms of supporting biodiversity and hopefully sort of making a real difference to the nature in the UK at least. Thanks, Craig, if you want to switch on. And then the final thing I just wanted to highlight before I hand over to Craig is I said at the beginning that for all of our journals we're offering rapid decision speeds, and I described that as being an initial editorial decision within a week and from submission to publication in 6 months. Our journal Biology Open has really taken that and taken speed to extremes. So it's running an initiative called Fast and Fair Peer Review, and this offers high quality peer review within 7 working days of submission. And if you go on to the next slide, the way that we're achieving this is by having a pool of pre-contracted reviewers who have signed up to say that they're interested in working with us and committing to having a 4-day turnaround time in reviewing papers that are sent to them if they're able to. And in return for that, which is obviously quite a burden on our reviewers, we are financially compensating them for their work. And this has now been running for well at sort of scale for about a year. And if you just click on, it's really working. So through Fast and Fair Peer Review, almost 90% of manuscripts are achieving that 10-day turnaround time, and even those that are missing it are only missing it by a few days. And so in the vast majority of cases, authors are getting a decision back on their paper within 7 working days, and that in turn is then turning into a much, much quicker speed from submission all the way through to final publication. And if speed is important to you as an author, really encourage you to go onto the Bio website, have a look at it. And if you're interested in signing up to be a reviewer, we're always looking for more reviewers with different expertise. And from the Bio website, you'll be able to find a link to be able to go and sign up as to be a peer reviewer for Fast and Fair at Biology Open. And with that, I will hand over to Craig.
Okay, thanks very much, Katherine, and hello all. What I'm going to do is just briefly kind of reiterate a few of the things that Katherine has spoken about, but through the optics or through the lens of Journal of Experimental Biology. Our publisher is the Company of Biologists, and the Journal of Experimental Biology was the first journal that the Company of Biologists literally saved. The journal began in 1923, and it was in 1925 that the Company of Biologists were set up, and they literally saved the journal. For those of you who are not aware of this journal, it's the leading journal in comparative physiology and biomechanics of animals, and it publishes a broad range of articles that look at integrative, comparative, ecological and evolutionary physiology and biomechanics across all levels of biological organization, from molecular to whole organismal performance. And we have a very strong emphasis on elucidation of mechanism and the understanding of physiological processes. Over the past few years, we have really focused on the aims and scope of the journal and made a few changes and broadened it to some extent. We like papers that pose or test a hypothesis or ask a significant question that is related to comparative physiology or biomechanics. The expanded scope includes field-based research, including studies that may be using mesocosms, studies that use computational simulations or robotics, that advance the understanding of animal function. In fact, we just had a JB symposium that was devoted to robotics. That was a great symposium. And with reviews and commentaries, we are encouraging the use of meta-analyses. We've introduced a new article type, theory and modelling. So there's no need to present empirical data within that article type. And that's in addition to our standard research articles, short communications, methods, and techniques. This is the team, and very much a team. Our editors, our handling editors or monitoring editors are scattered around the world. They are all practicing researchers, all leaders in their respective fields. And as I say, just a great team to work with. So when you submit a manuscript, it gets assigned to one of these editors, and you're given that opportunity to suggest what editors you would like your manuscript to be handled by. But really what makes JEB run is the team based in Cambridge in the editorial office. The managing editor, Michaela Handel, has this amazing team of people. And really, when you submit a paper to JB, it's typically one or two of these people that you liaise with mostly. Although in saying that, all the handling editors, monitoring editors welcome correspondence and a dialogue. So Michaela has a team that includes our commissioning editors, Charlotte and Jaron. They look after reviews and commentaries. We have the fabulous news and views editor, Katherine Knight, who really gets our papers out there, viewed by the general public, and write some inside JEB articles. And then we have our production editors and editorial administrators. One of the key things that we do is that our production editors are involved in copy editing, and we offer that service, of course, for free. So just briefly, all submissions handled by expert academic editors. We have competitive decision speeds and rapid publication. We actively promote papers through social media and press releases, and JB has a wealth of topics that we can use to send out into the general public. We have this high quality editing. And the one thing I really want to highlight on this page here is that the Company of Biologists is a non-for-profit publisher. It's a charity. And the funds that, the profits that this company makes, our publisher makes, a good part of it goes back in supporting our community. We have that free to publish option or open access. For the JEB community, funding is pretty tight for our community, and the read and publish deals have really given a large proportion of our community the option to publish open access through that deal. The funds that or the profits that the Company of Biologists makes, one of our key things is supporting our early career researchers. And chiefly, we're a community and values-driven journal. And just in terms of how we distribute funds and support our early career researchers, we have outstanding paper prize every year. And we highlight the young scientist. Likewise, spotlight interview series. If an early career researcher publishes a paper in JEB, they have the option of promoting themselves through a small bio that we publish alongside their published article. And it's a neat way for them to get exposure and for people to learn about our community. In terms of direct funding to ECRs, we do this through a number of schemes. What's been going now for many decades is the Travelling Fellowship Scheme, where early career researchers can apply for up to £3,000. So that's about 5,000, 6,000 Australian dollars to undertake a visit to another research lab, typically overseas. In terms of the money that we distribute over £120,000, so pretty close to $250,000 for these travelling fellowships. And this is the funding that goes back from the profits to our community. And then in 2023, we celebrated our centenary, 100 years of JEB, and we set up two new fellowship schemes dedicated to junior faculty staff, because we recognise that transition from being a postdoc to setting up your first laboratory, your first research group is a tough period. And so we have visiting fellowship schemes where that junior faculty member can put in an application to attract an ECR to their lab to undertake a project. And what's becoming quite popular are our research partnership Kickstart travel grants, where we're encouraging their junior faculty member to set up a new collaboration with perhaps a more senior research scientist, and we support those applications. So just finally, we're just using here JB as an example, but the reason is to publish with all our journals, our 5 journals. All our journals are led by experts. We're all approachable. We attend conferences. We're active with our research, and we strongly values driven. Integrity is at our core. We actually really care about your paper. Many of our papers are highly influential. We reach a wide audience. And as I've given as an example, we support our scientific community, and we give a lot for free. So with that, I'll hand back to Katherine, who's going to highlight even more some of those charitable activities.
Great. Thank you very much, Craig. And I just reiterate that last point that Craig made that, I think we really are very values driven as an organisation across all 5 of our journals, which essentially all operate in the same way as JEB. Our editors really care about handling papers carefully, appropriately, and as quickly as they can to really support the research community through. But not only that, and as Craig has already highlighted, we really believe that the revenues from publishing your hard work should support future scientific discovery and help develop future scientists. And so through various initiatives, we really aim to do that. So we support and fund a number of research societies, mainly in the UK, but also abroad. We provide travel grants for young researchers to attend meetings, and I'll come on to, we have various different ways for doing this. The travelling fellowships that Craig described for JB are also available for authors in the developmental biology and cell biology fields. We have a very large scientific meeting grant program to support conferences, and again with a particular focus on sustainability. We host our own scientific workshops and meetings, and that's something that we've really developed over the last 15 years or so. And we also host and support a number of other initiatives that aid the community that I'll get onto in a second. So in terms of some of those activities in a little bit more detail, these are just a couple of quotes from some recent travelling fellowship recipients. So in 2025, across our journals, we supported 140 early career researchers to make collaborative visits to other labs. And we know that these visits can be really transformative. We know that people publish papers out of them. We know that they get their future jobs from taking these travelling fellowships. We know that this support is really, really important in helping the next generation of researchers to broaden their networks, learn new techniques, get access to material that they don't have in their host lab, and just really support their future careers. As I said, we have a very active scientific meeting grants program. So again, last year we provided funding to 341 conferences across the globe. It's a really straightforward application procedure. If you're looking for funds to help support a conference, we can provide up to £6,000 for an individual meeting, depending on its size. And And it's the decisions on which meetings to support are really also made by our board of directors, who are active scientists themselves and who understand a lot of the challenges with organising meetings and things like that. And a few years ago, we launched a fund for innovations in sustainable conferencing, and this provided support to an additional 80 events. We actually started our sustainable conferencing initiative in late 2019, kind of just before COVID hit, but it became obvious that was quite prescient and that we really, we were therefore in a really good place when COVID did hit to be able to support people who were organising virtual meetings. And then as we've come out the other end, to really think about how do we make conferences more sustainable without necessarily getting rid of those in-person interactions that we know are so important in driving scientific progress. And again, not only do we provide funding for that, but we've also starting to collect a load of resources to help conference organisers think about how they can make their conferences more sustainable. There's a number of blog posts, case studies, ideas of the way changes that you can make to your meeting to make it more sustainable. And we've also recently introduced this event carbon calculator, and it's a really simple little app that will allow you to go in, give us some basic details about your meeting, and then we can give you some suggestions about how you can reduce the carbon footprint of that meeting without necessarily completely changing the way that you're organizing your meeting. And so if you're organizing events, I'd really go and encourage you to take a look at that and really think about what more you can do to make your event more sustainable, whether that's vegan catering or just reducing the amount of paper or providing a hybrid option or so on. And then you can also get money from us to help you do that. And over recent years, our travelling fellowships and our meeting grants program have been running for a very, very long time, but we've really expanded our support for the community in recent years. Um, so development in 2023 launched a Pathway to Independence program, and this is a program supporting postdocs going on the job market. As Craig said, that transition from postdoc to PI we know can be a very challenging one, and so we run a competitive program each year to support 8 postdocs who are going on the job market, provide them with mentoring, training, network building, profile raising to really help them go through that transition. Journal of Cell Science provides training grants in collaboration with its community site Focal Plane, which I'll introduce in a minute, to provide funding for people wanting to go on training courses for microscopy. Craig's already spoken about the Kickstart and Visiting Fellowships for JEB. DMM offers conference travel grants, helping to cover travel costs for postdocs and junior PIs attending conferences internationally. And Biology Open, the most recent initiative we've launched, are Biology Open's Global South Conference travel grants, providing funds for researchers based in the Global South to attend international conferences, because we know that conferences are expensive. Researchers in the Global South often don't have the kinds of funds that you need to attend a conference, but those can be very transformative events, and so we're providing funds for that as well. As I said, we run workshops and meetings as well. So every year we run 5 small workshops in the UK and one Global South workshop, again with the aim of increasing access to the high quality research and researchers that our workshops provide. So these workshops are very small events. They're 30 people, 20 invited speakers, and 10 slots available for early career researchers. And essentially, we lock you away in a beautiful country house for 4 days to talk about science of a particular topic. They're intended to be interdisciplinary. Um, and they're some of the most fantastic events that I've attended. Obviously, I'm biased, but they're really fantastic workshops. They're very intense. They're very sort of informal. They really give an opportunity to launch new collaborations and so on. And you can organise one. So we take applications from the community who come up with an idea, who have an idea for one of these kinds of workshops. We organise all of the logistics, and all you need to do is come up with the idea and a list of speakers, essentially. And so these have been running for a long time and they're really, really successful. But then in addition to that, we run a number of journal meetings. These are larger events on topics of particular priority for the journal community. JEB have been running symposia for many years, but our other journals have also started to do larger meetings for somewhere between 100 and 200 people to focus on particular priorities. And just a couple of examples of that are coming up. So development in collaboration actually with a Wellcome funded Human Developmental Biology Initiative in the UK are running the next iteration of its very successful meetings on human development this September. And DMM are running a meeting on pediatric cancer models in October this year. And then the final initiative that I'd like to highlight as some of the important things that we do as a company to support the community are our community websites. So these are the Node, Focal Plane, and Prelights. The Node was launched now just over 15 years ago in response to the developmental biology community saying they wanted an online platform to talk about different issues in the developmental biology field. And that's what the Node provides. It's essentially an online blog that's open to anyone to post about any topic that they think is relevant to the community. It also has a very active jobs and events page. And I know many people who've found their next job through seeing it on the Node. And so that's a really fantastic resource. It highlights labs across the world, new research techniques, important questions in the field, discussions about all sorts of issues. Prelights is our preprint highlighting service. So this again is it's a community of early career researchers, and if you're interested in joining and writing, then you're very welcome to do that. So it is essentially people pick their favorite recent preprint, write about it, initiate a discussion with the authors to ask some questions about where that piece of research is going, and that then gets published on the website. And it's a really great opportunity uh, to gain skills in writing, but also to interact with a broad community of early career researchers who are really interested in writing, interested in preprints, and interested in sort of publishing. And then finally, Focal Plane runs along a very similar line to the Node, but is focused on the cell biology and microscopy communities. And so, just coming back to this is the final slide, coming back to the beginning, I hope that between us, Craig and I have shown you that the Company of Biologists, we really do a lot for a relatively small organisation. In addition to our journals, we really believe in supporting the community. But if you can just click forward, Craig, onto the final thing. In order to do that, we really need your support as our community, as authors, reviewers, and readers to submit to our journals, to review for us, to read our papers, and to really interact with us, to allow us to do all of these kinds of things and continue to support the community, hopefully for the next 100 years. And with that, that's all we have. We're very happy to take any questions that you may have. You can put them into the Q&A box, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. Just give people a couple of minutes if anybody's got any questions. And we should say as well that we have recorded this webinar, and we will be making it available to you or to your colleagues who weren't able to come but had signed up, but also available through your libraries. So we've organised this a little bit in collaboration with Call, and so this will be made available through the librarians as well.
Well, thank you, everyone. It was good to talk about the Journal of Experimental Biology, but more importantly, the Company of Biologists, our publisher. Thanks for your attendance.
Okay, well, if there are no questions, then we will close the webinar, and thank you very much again. Thank you.